Little Adho is ill." There was no doubt about it. Little brother was very sick. For several days he cried and cried, a pitiful, tired little cry. His body was so hot with fever that Mother was worried. Father was doubly worried. Even Kasumo and Kamari knew that something was wrong. Mother held Adho in her arms and gently bathed his hot forehead. "My poor little man," said Mother, trying to comfort him. Father went to the field to work, but he was anxious about his son. What if the fever becomes worse? What if that son for whom he had waited so long should be taken from him? A great fear came into Father's heart. He must not die. He must not die of the fever. Perhaps the charm doctor. Why had not he thought of that before? Father quickly gathered up his tools, and with rapid strides he went to the home of the charm doctor. "It is my little boy, my only little son," said Father, paying no heed to the strange sights and queer odors about the place. He urged the charm doctor to hurry. "Come, drive out the evil spirits. My son must not die of the fever." After taking his time about choosing the trinkets and the queer concoctions in strange bottles, the charm doctor sat down on a rock by the door of his house and said, "Now, before we go, how about a certain amount of business?" "Oh, yes, your pay. I will pay you well after the rice harvest. I will give you what is right. But now make my son well. I must have my pay now," said the charm doctor, shaking the bones on his charm chain. "I cannot wait until the rice harvest." "But I am poor. I have no money at all right now," said Father. "Suppose we consider your cow." "My cow? But I have only one cow. I must keep her for the milk for my family." "But no, not my cow." "Well, your calf, then," queried the charm doctor, with a gloating smile on his face. Father hesitated. Soon the little calf would be big enough to give milk too. He wished he had had some time to think it over, to talk with Mother, but the charm doctor wanted his answer before he went to the home to treat the sick baby. "All right, I will give you the calf. Only come and drive away the spirit that brings the fever. My son must not die." Slowly the charm doctor arose from the rock upon which he was sitting. He picked up his sack of shells, beads and bones and beetles, and the bottles of strange mixtures with which he would pretend to drive away the evil spirits that had brought the fever to the baby. Father hurried along the path towards home. The charm doctor followed more slowly, chanting his weird song as he went. Kasumo and Kamari were afraid of the charm doctor. They clung to each other in one corner of the room. They watched as the charm doctor tied a little bag of something on Adho's arm. Then he sprinkled some powder from a jar on top of his head. During this ceremony, the charm doctor sang a strange song and made many motions with his hands as he proceeded to drive out the evil spirits that brought the fever. Then he stirred some bad-smelling brown liquid in a small cup and placed some of it on the baby's hot lips. Little Adho did not like the medicine. He coughed and choked and cried. Mother waited anxiously as she held the tiny Adho in her arms. "How soon will the spirits leave?" she said. "Very soon now," said the charm doctor. "See how the mixture is doing its work?" Then picking up his bag of trinkets and mixtures, he said to Father, "I will expect my pay tomorrow morning. Do not forget." "I will not forget," said Father, as the charm doctor went away. Kasumo and Kamari came out of the corner to look at their little brother. They did not like the smell of the medicine that the charm doctor had used. The powder on Adho's head looked like ashes, and the contents of the bag on his little tiny wrist, why, it smelled like the brown mud behind the barn where the animals were kept. Poor Adho cried and cried. All day Mother held him in her arms and bathed his little hot body with cool water. Casumo made many trips to the spring. Father went back to the rice fields, but he came home early. "How is he?" Father asked anxiously as he entered the house. "He's not any better," said Mother, and she bent low over the baby in her arms. There were tears in her eyes as she looked up at Father. Casumo and Kamari knew that Mother had been crying. They ate their curry and rice, but they did not enjoy it. Father ate his supper quietly, silently. Mother held little Adho in her arms, swaying back and forth, singing the chant of the charm doctor. How soon the fever would leave, she did not know. She could only trust the charm doctor, though sometimes in her heart she doubted his methods, as she felt that the tiny body was growing hotter and hotter. After supper was over, Kasumi and Kamari threw away the big leaves that had been used as plates and went to sit on the log outside the house. Kamari sat close to Casumo as they watched the red ball of the sun sink out of sight behind the western hills. "Casumo," whispered Kamari, "do you think the charm doctor's medicine will help our little baby brother?" Casumo quickly put her hand over Kamari's mouth. "Shh, shh. Don't let the spirits hear you say that. They might become angry and bring more trouble." "Bedtime," called Father, and the two little girls went into the house to prepare for